Shalom. Allah Yahweh Shalom. Shalom to the left. This is just some more updates on the stuff that's going on around the world. More prophetic events, basically. Let me let this play right here, and I'll just go through the videos I got queued up and get this one chapter out of the scriptures. They hit the nail right on the head.
This is Dabu 7. It looks like we have a big-time water emergency unfolding out in the west as we have the U.S. federal government declaring an unprecedented water shortage, the first ever of its kind at Lake Mead. This is the country's biggest water reservoir. So remember though, this affects many different states. People just sit there and look at these headlines and go off to the next. This is disastrous. We live in a world where they could be taking pipes and running fresh water from the coastline, desalination plants, into the desert, bringing fresh water, but they will not do that on this planet. Only pipelines they run are for oil and for their profit. There's a lot of things that we could be doing to help this planet, yet none.
Yeah, you know what? Because the book of Job says the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. The wicked ain't trying to help. They trying to go to a new damn planet and do the same shit. Anyway, but let me let's play. That's a whole river. There ain't no water in that, man. There's like a road on that shit. Let me pull some more up. There's more. That's just one video I want to show. See the Most High? You control this, man. You look at it, it almost looks like you see some figures dancing around there. So they're not putting this out that easy. It's just gonna keep going, and you got the winds twisting around and turning. Let's go on to the next one.
Haiti is still reeling from Saturday's earthquake. Every day more bodies are found and the death toll continues to rise. But even as the country mourns those already lost, another potentially ruinous problem has arrived. Tropical Storm Grace, with the risk of flash floods, landslides and yet more obstacles hampering the search for survivors. It's a fresh challenge for the government and aid organisations already struggling to get help to a disaster area down the road gangs are battling over. The UN has allocated $8 million to help.
Our humanitarian colleagues are telling us that access to the southern peninsula where the quake hit is challenging because gangs are controlling movements.
Haiti's Prime Minister did make it to the seafront town of Lacaille, one of the worst affected cities.
When I arrived in the south of the country, we saw the destruction. Many houses are destroyed. Rescue teams are working to find victims and survivors in the rubble. One thing I noticed was the dignity of the people despite the situation. They are affected but resilient. They fight to survive.
But even before the storm, the scenes were desperate. Football fields sprawled with survivors, forced to shelter with the few belongings they have left.
Look at them tents. Let's be dwelling in them tents. Ain't nothing better.
Since the earthquake, I didn't feel well. We're on the football field, our home is destroyed, we can't drink the water, and many people are staying here.
Crisis on top of crisis. Last month, the country's president was assassinated. Gang violence continues. And in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, Haiti's only just begun its vaccination campaign.
Let me pause there. This is the last one I played and I'll pull this precept. Let's see, man. The most High putting the spirit on these people is running RT News to show this type of stuff right here. Because they ain't got to show. They'll be like CNN and show Kamala Harris laughing and shit and whatever other little nonsense they be showing. But they actually showing real events, biblical events on top of that. And it make it easier to do what? Make these lessons. Let me let this play. Come on, man. It don't get no plainer than this. I'm gonna pull it down. In fact, another precept came to my mind too. Well, I'm gonna get that after this. It's in the book of Nahum, in chapter 1. Just read on down to verse 2. It says, Yahweh is jealous and the Lord revengeth. The Lord revengeth and is furious. Yahweh will take vengeance on his adversaries and he will reserve wrath for his enemies. The Lord is slow to anger, great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord has his way in the whirlwind. You see them winds, what's going on? And in the storm and the clouds are the dust of his feet. He rebuketh the sea and maketh it dry, and drieth up all the rivers. Bashan languish and Carmel, and the flower of Lebanon languish. The mountains quake at him. You see the quakes going on. The water drying up. It says, and the hills melt. How you look out there in California, Greece, France, all these different areas. I want to say Italy too as well, and other places, Siberia. The hills literally melting from the fires out there. It says, and the earth is burned in his presence. Yeah, the world and all that dwell therein. Who can stand before his indignation? Who can abide in his fierceness? In the fierceness of his anger, his fury is poured out like fire, and the rocks are thrown down by him. It says, the Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble. He knoweth them that trust him. But when the overrunning flood, he will make an utter end of the place thereof, and darkness shall pursue his enemies. What do you imagine against the Lord? He will make an utter end. Affliction shall not rise up the second time, for while they be folded together as thorns, and while they are drunken as drunkards, they shall be devoured as stubble, fully dry. There is one come out of thee that imagineth evil against the Lord, a wicked counselor. And this goes into Esau. Esau feel like they can build a space force and all this technology and all this other stuff and fight the Lord when he come back with the angels. That's why it's going to be that war in heaven. It says in verse 12, thus says the Lord, though they be quiet, and likewise many, and thus shall they be cut down when he shall pass through. Though I have afflicted thee, I will afflict thee no more. For now I will break his yoke from off thee, and will burst thy bonds and sunder. So that's why you see, you have certain men, hey, in decent positions while Babylon getting jacked up and the world getting jacked up. But ain't none of that shit coming near certain people. It says, and the Lord have given a commandment concerning thee, that no more of thy name be sown out of the house of thy powers will I cut off the graven image and the molten image. I will make thy grave, for thou art vile. Behold, upon the mountains, feed of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace. O Judah, keep thy solemn feast, perform thy vows, for the wicked shall no more pass through thee. He is utterly cut off, and you see that going on. to this other precept that I want to get. And I just end this off. Because with all this stuff going on, you can't really see what's coming real soon. And this is what's happening. This is why. It's in the book of Romans, chapter 11, verse 9. And better yet, before I even get to verse 9, let me just read on down and I end this up. I'm going to start at verse 7. It says, what then? Israel have not obtained that which he seeketh for? Because our people, they always question where we come from, who we are, how we were in our past or whatever. Did we rule? All these different questions. The answer's here. Some just don't want to accept it. Or they just got blinded. And it says, reading on, it says, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. It says, according as it was written, Yahweh have given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear until this day. And David said, let their table be made a snare and a trap and a stumbling block and a recompense unto them. Let their eyes be darkened, that they may not see, and bow down and back always. Yeah, okay. All these events right here, you can see it going on from the earthquakes, the tornadoes, the fires, the floods, the signs in the heavens. They've been talking about the meteor showers and all that stuff. The different colors with the moons, nation against nation. Them pushing around the you-know-what so they can implement the other you-know-what. And if you don't know what, you better go look it up. So, I just wanted to bring this out. I don't want to watch this out. This is edifying. Shalom to the look.